这场呢是我们千文万华中国历代漆器艺术特展系列讲座的第3场。在这一场，我们非常荣幸地邀请到了大英博物馆东方艺术研究员霍吉舒女士，为我们带来大英博物馆藏中国漆器这样的一场讲座。今天的讲座我们也邀请到了上海博物馆文教办的梁威老师为我们担任翻译。在今天的讲座中，大家可以欣赏到非常丰富的图像资料，也能够了解到大英博物馆与中国漆器的渊源以及收藏的原因，并且可以知道在收藏、保护和研究的过程中做出了怎样的努力和工作。下面我们把舞台交给霍吉舒女士和梁威老师，大家掌声欢迎。
Thank you very much. And can I start by thanking Mrs. Bao and all the colleagues at the Shanghai Museum for the most wonderful few days learning about Chinese lacquer and exchanging views and images. Thank you very much indeed for inviting me.
谢谢大家来今天听讲座，同时我也想感谢上海博物馆工艺部的包艳丽老师，是他和上博的同事一起给了我们分享中国漆器和相关漆器的那个交流的机会和资料。
The first part I'd like to think about is why do we collect lacquer?
今天讲座的第一部分主要是讲为什么我们要收藏漆器，这个我们是指大英博物馆。
The most important thing is preservation, conservation and restoration.
我们对于文物的最主要的要求就是保存和修复。
And we have a new building especially for the conservation of ceramics and lacquer, other organic materials, stone and so on.
我们大英呢现在建造了一座新的建筑，是专门为修复瓷器、漆器和其他一些有机材质而建造的。
And our colleagues regularly exchange with people in China and other places, improving their skills constantly.
而且我们大英也有规律的定期开展一些与中国及世界其他国家同行交流的项目，来提高相互的提高文物相互的技能和相关知识。
The second thing is for scholarly exchange. Here you can see Mrs. Bao Yanli 8 years ago with me, teaching me about Chinese lacquer and introducing me to the extraordinary subject that Chinese lacquer is.
这张图片是显示的是包艳丽女士，上海博物馆工艺部包艳丽女士在8年前在大英与我的一些交流。那么我们当时正在看我们大英库藏的漆器，除了文物修复方面的交流，我们同时也进行一些像访问学者，比如包艳丽女士这样类似的交流。
And the third reason is to make the collections available for everybody. The collection is a museum of the world, for the world, and our main reason for having these collections is to make them available for research, for teaching, and for learning.
我们大英第3个目的，开展交流的目的呢，就是使我们的藏品能够为世界各国的人民和同行能够利用，用于研究、教学和学习，因为藏品是来自于世界，也要为世界服务。
So here in this picture we see Julie Chung, who is a PhD candidate at the University College London, and my colleague Rebecca Stacey, who is a conservation scientist at the British Museum.
在这儿我们能够看见2位实验室的工作人员，左面的那一位其实是亚裔，叫 Julie Chang， 她是英国伦敦的 UCL 大学毕业的那个博士生。另外一个呢是已经在大英工作的 Stacy， 他是那个实验室的工作人员。
And we'll come back to display later on in the talk. So now, how do we collect lacquer? Where does this lacquer come from?
第二部分呢，我们是讲大英博物馆是怎么样收藏漆器的，这些漆器藏品从哪儿来。
Very interestingly, in preparing this talk, I discovered that the first lacquer to come to the British Museum was given in 1800 by this lady, the Countess of Strathmore and Kingbourne, called Mary Bowes.
在我研究我们大英博物馆漆器整理相关资料的时候呢，我就发现了我们第一件接受捐赠的漆器的原盒呢，是来自于 Mary Bowes 女伯爵夫人，她是 Strathmore 和 Kinghorn 这个地区的女伯爵。
She's rather famous as an unhappy countess, as she had a very flamboyant lifestyle and many husbands.
这位女伯爵是在历史上非常出名。一个呢，就是说，她老是不开心，总是不是很开心。第二个呢，就是说她的生活呢是非常华丽糜烂的，然后换过多任的丈夫，她的私生活在当时也是非常出名。
And if you want to know more about her collections, there's a museum in the north of England which has many of her materials.
如果你们想要了解这位女伯爵收藏的更多的藏品的话，在英国北部有一个专门为她建立的博物馆。
The next most important collector is Sir Augustus Wollaston Franks, an Englishman who was one of the first keepers at the British Museum in charge of Asian material and other materials.
第二位跟我们中国漆器有关的大英博物馆的人士呢，是 Franks 爵士。这位爵士呢是一个英格兰的收藏家，同时也是大英博物馆东方艺术以及以及其他一些藏品的藏品这一个部分的负责人。
He had one of the first great exhibitions of Chinese ceramics in the UK in 1876, and he published a catalogue of them which demonstrated a desire to create an academic study of Chinese ceramics, not just place them as decorative objects.
他是第一个在1876年在大英举办中国瓷器展的一个策展人，同时呢，他为这个展览还出了一本图录，在这本图录里面，他表达了就是说研究中国方面的文物，研究东方的文物，他不仅只是展示他们，还希望进行一些学术上的研究和探讨。
And he's collecting these objects, including the Chinese lacquer, in a kind of world context. So he's placing Chinese lacquer alongside, Japanese and materials from other parts of the world, just as we do today.
OK， 然后他也收藏那个中国的漆器，他的收藏方式是这样的，不是独立的割裂的收藏中国漆器，而把中国漆器放在一个全球的大背景下来理解，跟日本的漆器、日本的材料一起研究。
Into the 1920s, the most significant collector was George Eumopoulos, who lives between 1863 and 1939. He was a great collector of Oriental art and founder of the Oriental Ceramic Society.
另外一位呢是我们的东方陶瓷协会的成员，他呢名字叫做 George Eumopoulos， 生于1863年，卒于1939年。进入1920年代呢，他是成为了收藏瓷器和东方艺术最著名的收藏家之一，同时也是东方陶瓷协会的奠基人之一。
And his house was like a museum. You can see it on the top right. In his sort of living areas, he had very beautiful things like blue and white porcelain. But in another room, in more than one room, he had more of a museum display. And the lacquer was included in that museum-style display. His house was on the Chelsea embankment, yes, along the side of the river, but it was open to the public.
OK， 在右上角的这幅画中，我们可以看到，George Eumopoulos 的家其实就是一个博物馆的形式。他的起居室是装饰的青花瓷，但是他其他的一些房间完全是博物馆的形式来展示的。他的家呢是位于切尔西河岸边，就是那个切尔西足球俱乐部所在的地方，河岸边。所以他家本身就是一个很好的地段，然后收藏的东西，东方的瓷器，还包括一些漆器。
We think of Sir Percival David in context of Chinese ceramics. There are 1,700 ceramics in his collection on display at the British Museum, now all with Chinese labels, but he also collected some important lacquer pieces.
Okay. 另外一个收藏中国的瓷器和漆器非常有名的呢，就是戴维德爵士。这位爵士一共收藏了1700件的瓷器，这里面是他其中的一件漆器。
And this is the only photograph of him smiling.
这张照片是戴维德爵士唯一一张微笑的照片。
It's taken from a newspaper in South Africa. He was evacuated from Shanghai during the war period, and he had exhibitions of Chinese art to raise money for China at the time. Sent away from.
OK， 他呢，戴维德爵士其实，他当时是被中国赶出来的，然后呢，这张照片是摄于南非，当时一个newspaper 就是一张报纸的记者给他拍的。
And this man will be unfamiliar to the audience, I think, but he's probably one of the most important people behind all of our collections.
OK， 这位先生其实是外界不是非常熟悉，但他也许是我们收藏漆器中最主要的一位人物之一。
In fact, we only found this photograph a year ago. Until then, we had no idea what he looked like.
其实我们仅仅是在1年前才找到他这张照片，以前我们都不知道这位捐赠人的脸长什么样。
The reason he's important is he left a large sum of money to the museum with which to buy objects in the 1950s and 1960s.
OK。他对于我们来说非常重要呢，是因为他为大英博物馆留下了一大笔钱，并指明是哪些东西需要用这笔钱来买。分别是在1950年和1960年代，他捐了钱。
And in fact, he was really a very ordinary man.
你看上去他脸长得是挺普通的。
The other very important collector of Chinese lacquer that you may not have heard of is Robert Wiley Lloyd, who was a former director of the Christie's auction house.
另外一个对大英博物馆的漆器有重大贡献的是 Robert Wiley Lloyd 先生。这位先生曾经是佳士得的董事主席。
And rather like other collectors of his day, he collected other material, so Turner drawings and paintings, as well as Chinese lacquer. So, English watercolors.
OK，他其实也收集，除了漆器，也收集那个版画、印刷品等等这一系列的东西。
And the last collector I'm going to talk about before we move on to the next section are Sir Harry and Lady Garner. And the reason they're so important is not just that they brought together, one of the most outstanding collections of Chinese lacquer, but they researched them and published them.
OK， 另外一对对大英收藏的中国漆器有贡献的是 Harry 爵士和他的夫人 Garner 女士。他们对于大英漆器藏品非常重要的原因，不仅仅在于收藏，还在于他们还对此进行了研究，并发表了这些研究成果。
And when they wanted to divide their collection, they split it mostly between the V&A and the British Museum, so the Victoria and Albert Museum and the British Museum. And that's why there's a lot of similarity in the two collections for Chinese lacquer.
Okay. 他们当时把他们的漆器收藏分成了两个部分。第一，一半呢是捐给了那个英国伦敦的 V&A 美术馆。第二个呢是捐给了大英博物馆，所以大家在看 V&A 藏品、漆器藏品和大英藏品的时候，会发现两部分的藏品有很多相似点。
The next part, what do we do with the lacquer?
然后接下来讲大英博物馆是如何展示漆器的。
Last year, we opened the new China gallery at the British Museum. One part is for South Asia, so that's India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and the other part for China.
去年呢，我们开幕了一个新装修的展厅，叫做是中国展厅。所谓的中国展厅呢，其实是分为两个部分。第一个部分呢是南亚的文物，包括印度啊、巴基斯坦以及孟加拉等等。第二个部分就其实是只是中国展厅、中国文物，所以中国的文物在这个展厅里面是占很大比重。
So it stretches the whole length of the back of the British Museum and is longer than a football pitch, a soccer pitch, English football pitch. The length is longer than a...
然后这个展厅的长度是非常长的，比一个英国的足球场的长度还长。
So I'm just going to show you a few images of the display cases. Some of them are the designer's displays rather than the actual pictures from the gallery, and they divide chronologically. So
我想在这儿给大家展示一下我们展厅里面各个橱柜是怎么样展示中国文物的。有些图片呢其实是设计师的那个场景效果图，并不是真正的东西，但是大家可以从中找到一些感觉。
So if we look at the top right, we'll come back to these in the fourth part, but you can see the hand lacquer box and then the sword with hand lacquer covering. This is the box and this is the sword, as well as two ear cuffs, the cuffs of two ears.
如果我们看看在就是说，右面的中部，大家可以看到，其实中间是有一个漆盒，比如说这个东西，这是漆盒。那这一把是一把剑，但是剑鞘的装饰都是用漆做成的。然后还有下面的2个耳杯。
We'll come back to them in a minute in more detail, but just to give you an idea what the things look
待会儿还会细讲，就是现在是粗略的讲一下。
And with the sung and ceramics, we've included pieces to juxtapose the lacquer with the ceramics.
宋代的那个瓷器，为了做比较呢，我们也放了部分的漆器在里面。
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 就这2件，这是漆器。
A bit later, but anyway. And the same with the yuan.
元代的瓷器，你看展柜里面也有漆器，红色的。
And for the early Ming.
明代早期的漆器。
And the sort of later Ming.
明代晚期的漆器。
Although we'll talk about the dating later.
我们断代后面会讲到。
And oh, sorry, the one before. Shenlong, yeah, lacquer.
2件乾隆的漆器。
So this display is intended to look like a palace interior.
所以这个展柜主要是在讲皇室收藏的御用品。
And finally, the modern displays.
这是现代的漆器和现代的一些艺术品。
So that's an introduction, and here we'll start looking at the actual pieces themselves, mainly chronologically.
接下来呢，我们是再讲一讲具体的各件漆器的藏品，它们背后的故事，就是所谓的历史语境，都是每件东西都是基本按照时代先后顺序排列的。
Okay, so the earliest things in the collection date to about the 4th century BC.
最早的一件漆器是一件漆器的正木兽，大约是公元前40纪。
Of course, the Chu culture guardian that you can also see a better example, I would say, in the Shanghai Museum exhibition.
这件正木兽其实类似的东西，在我们这一次上海博物馆的漆器展里面也有类似一件，那一件应该比这件还要好看一点。
And so we actually have very little of this archaeological material. As I mentioned earlier, we have this incredible Han Dynasty sword, which is an iron sword covered with a layer of lacquer, and then with these sort of open work panels here, the foot of the sword, the shape, and so on, in open work.
这一件呢是汉代的一把剑，它其实是一把铁剑，它上面的铁剑的剑鞘上呢有好多装饰的纹样，比如在剑首、剑尾、剑诀和剑头的这个部分都有一些装饰，其实这些装饰都是铁上覆盖了漆的。
And of course, one could never separate the scabbard, the outside, from the sword, because it would just, collapse. So it's together as one unit.
这些东西呢，其实不能把漆器的装饰跟这个剑割裂开来，因为它们是整把剑的一部分。
Most famously from the Han Dynasty collection is this two-eared cup, which was excavated in North Korea and has an inscription which I'm sure many of you know, dated to AD 4. It includes all the people involved in the manufacture of the cup, their names, what function they had in its manufacture, and so on. It's a very important dated inscription.
另外一件东西呢是非常重要的一件耳杯，大家可以看到啊，这件耳杯其实是出土于南韩，时间呢断代为公元后4年。那它上面它的重要性在于，在它的漆器的这个漆耳杯的一圈，它是有 inscription， 就有好多那个就是铭文。这个铭文上面呢，告诉了我们这件漆器是什么时候制作的，然后它的功能是什么等等一系列，而且制作的工匠是什么名字等等一系列这个背景信息。
And it's in remarkably good condition, including still having some of the gilding on the bronze here.
然后它的保存状态也是非常好的，这个漆耳杯上的两耳上还镶上了铜，铜是鎏金的，部分的鎏金还在那边。
And we've spent a lot of time talking about the origins of some of the patterns over the last few days, but look at this spiraling pattern here. I'm sure you recognize it from later materials.
我们在过去2天的那个漆器研讨会里面也谈到了一些花纹的东西。那么在这件碗杯上，就 Jessica 现在在指的这些花纹，其实你们在其他的漆器上至今都有发现这种类似的纹饰。
And then, of course, the styles of these 2-eared cups spread all the way from North Korea to the deserts in the far western parts of modern China. The deserts, Taklamakan Desert and beyond.
OK， 然后这种耳杯的形象从北韩，耳杯的制式从北韩开始一直向西传播，甚至到了塔克拉玛干沙漠那一带。
But whereas the piece that was excavated from the tomb of a soldier in North Korea is very, very high quality with the gilded handles and fine decoration, this one is made in much simpler local materials brought back by Sir Aurel Stein in the expedition of 1906 to 1908. It's using local materials.
然后在然后在那个北韩呢，还从那个2个士兵的墓中也发掘出了类似的东西，但是画面中的这件东西其实是斯坦因在第2次到中亚的那个探险中带回来的，时间是1906到1908年期间。
And we have a few other early pieces. We have a very small early lacquer collection. Interestingly, all these were donated by Chinese donors.
OK， 然后我们藏品中也有这种其他的几件类似的耳杯。很有意思的是，这些捐赠人都是中国人。
We've been looking at some of the most beautiful inlaid lacquers from the Han Dynasty in the conference, and this box actually has, you can see traces of people and flying animals here, you see? And these continue round. Unfortunately, we don't have the contents of this box, but you have one on display here with all the little jars that would have fitted originally inside the lacquer box.
这种盒子叫做漆帘。那漆帘里面呢，刚才 Jessica 指的这个一部分，这个漆帘很有意思，表面甚至是有一个人骑在一个动物上面。那我们也目前为止也不知道这个漆帘里面的所包含的就是漆帘里面应该还有一个个的小盒子，这些小盒子都不见了，但类似的东西可以在我们上博这次漆器展中找到。
And perhaps the admonition scroll, which obviously is a bit later, gives us a hint of how these might have been used.
大英博物馆最著名的一件绘画藏品叫《女史箴图》，在这张图里面，你看底下就有类似漆帘里面的摆放的东西。
And this is perhaps, I'm suggesting, may date to the Tang dynasty. We often go straight from Han dynasty to Northern Song dynasty. And some of the dating is still quite fluid. It can move between things. But I'm just going to suggest that this might, if we're looking for Tang lacquer, it might be a Tang piece. When you look at it compared to the Tang whiteware on the right-hand screen, they are remarkably similar.
OK， 那这件那个漆盘花瓣形的这个漆盘呢，我们现在建议断代是断在唐代，但是这一类的漆盘往往时间可以外延至前面外延到汉代，后面可以外延到北宋。那我们根据我们收藏的一件唐代的白瓷盘的右面那件白瓷盘的形制，可以断这一件漆器可能是唐代。可能。
As a result of this conference, we now have a much tighter date for this Northern Song cup. It has an inscription in red around here, which I'm not sure if you can see, which is a cyclical year date, and it's been suggested it's either 996 or 1056 or even 1116. But either way, definitely a Northern Song piece. Every 60 years.
Okay. 这一件
cup stand.
cup stand 展托 OK， 这是一件漆的展托。这件展托重要性在于它的底部有一圈红漆写文字。这些文字呢，它是用一种
Well, every 60 years you have the series of date years. So in Chinese tradition, I can't remember the word for it, but you have.
就是说每6年，它上面有一个记，每60年 ，OK 甲子一甲子 ，OK， 它有甲子纪年。那么根据这个甲子纪年呢，我们推算出这个时间可能是996年，也可能是1054年，也可能是1116年。
And then we have the classic, beautiful monochrome wares that Lu Pengliang was talking about, all the different styles in Chinese lacquer yesterday. This is a very typical Song Dynasty piece, which you can compare, this is the lacquer, which you can compare to guanyao, some of the finest mallow flower-shaped porcelains, but in lacquer. Southern Song Dynasty lacquer.
左面这一件呢是南宋的漆器的一个花瓣纹碟子，那么跟右面宋代的那一件瓷碟可以相比对。
We often compare pieces either to porcelain or silver, but in this case it has a silver liner inside the box, so we have the exact silver shape and the lacquer and the porcelain which go together. This is another monochrome Southern Song example.
另外一些漆器的盒子里面呢，衬着银色的内衬，这个里面有一个银的底盘。那这种类似的形式呢，跟我们右下角的那件瓷器也是形制有点相似。
Now this particular piece is Southern Song style, but actually was probably made in Japan.
这件漆盘呢，我们把它叫做南宋风格，其实是日本做的。
It has a very different kind of surface. Dr. Chen was talking this morning about how different it is looking at a photograph to looking at the actual object. And often it's the the gloss on the lacquer or the way the light hits the lacquer, which changes your view about an object. So something like this, which could look like a Southern Song piece in a photograph, when you actually see it, we think it's probably Japanese.
这种类似的盘子呢，很容易误会成南宋的东西，但是你只要把这件原件拿上手一看，就可以知道它的漆的光泽在光下的反应，它其实是不一样的。这是日本生产的。
I think the same with this piece as well, but we were very interested on people's views.
这件也是同样有可能是日本生产的，它是一个方碟。
And Mrs. Bao suggests that this might come from the Ryukyu Islands. It's certainly a very early shape. It stands on a foot and has the Tong character on the base.
这件东西呢，上博的包彦里女士认为是琉球生产的，然后它的边缘是这种连瓣形的，然后它的底部的黑漆底的中央写了一个通字。
And this is an unusual dish. It's actually very beautiful, quite light, and very similar in form to this Jingdezhen Yuan dynasty dish next to it. It's quite beautifully, I don't know if you can see, it's quite beautifully modelled with the bracket lobe, the sort of bracket shape here, around the foot as well as around the rim. However, we haven't been able to find anything quite like it in China, in lacquer, but it is very similar.
这件东西做工非常精巧，它的精巧度在于，首先它体量非常轻，比一般的漆器轻；其次，它的边缘就是像那种挂号型的形式，它叫做就是花瓣型的。然后还有一点不同，就是在它的圈足上，它也采用了这花瓣型的形式，跟元代的瓷器右面那件瓷器有点相似。但是目前为止，我们在中国漆器中还没有发现相似类型的漆器的样子。
This is another early piece, and it's quite unusual because it's inlaid with shell. But we think that this could be a Southern Song piece, or possibly Yuan dynasty. It's very similar in style to these Longchan wares that are slip decorated in terms of the aesthetic, but you can also think of silverwares that have the same kind of plum blossom and rock pattern on it. This isn't plum blossom, these are plum blossom here, but the look of it is very, could be Song or could be early Yuan.
这件棋盘呢是一件早一点的东西，它上面嵌着螺钿，然后呢它周围的一圈其实是梅花，我们认为呢是南宋或者是元早期的东西，那跟龙泉相应的龙泉窑的一些青瓷上面的花纹来比较，确实有一定的相似度。
And thanks to Mrs. Bao for redating these, which we used to think were from the 16th century, they now believe that they are actually quite early pieces, possibly Song to Yuan.
跟包艳丽女士一起讨论了以后，我们认为这件东西可以重新断代为16世纪，因为它上面的一些花纹跟宋和元的花纹是非常相近。
This is probably our earliest Tishi lacquer piece with these kind of heart-shaped scrolls that have been introduced by Lu Penglian and by Dr. Chen.
这是一件剔锡，漆器中剔锡的展托，它的花纹看上去有一点像如意云纹。
And each one has obviously the black and the red layers. You can see them quite distinctively here.
所以剔漆你在它的刻画的那个截面侧面可以看到有黑色和红色的漆一层一层的在里面。
And this is one which has been rather like when Liu Pangyang was describing the chair that had been in the wrong department. This cup stand for quite a while had been in a wrong department, and so we've reattributed it, and it doesn't have the rounded decoration that you would expect from an early Ming piece. It's quite flat, and we're wondering if this also could be an earlier Song Yuan piece. It's carved black lacquer down to the ground here, but the leaves and the flowers don't have those sort of undulating edges that you get in the early Ming. So it's flatter than the early Ming pieces, and we wonder if it might be an early piece.
这件展托呢，就跟昨天晚上陆鹏亮介绍的那件漆仪其实有一定的相通之处。那我们看看这件东西，它上面的黑漆的雕刻，它没有像明代的那种漆表面它有起起伏伏、高低圆融的感觉，所以呢，我们现在还是把它定作宋或元。
And this is another one which has a shape very similar to you find in Yuan blue and white or in Fujian wares with these sort of swirling patterns. This possibly was made in the 14th century, but in Ryukyu Islands.
这件东西呢，我们跟右上角的那个元代的瓷器，或者跟下面福建窑的那些个白瓷来比对，非常近似，但其实是14世纪琉球制作的。
Similarly, this is a piece that's decorated with phoenix in gold and red, and is exactly the same shape as these Yuan blue and white wares. This one's in the British Museum collection.
Mm-hmm. 这件漆的圆盒，盒盖上的花纹是用红漆和金，画出来的一个凤凰，一只凤凰，跟那个前面的瓷器的上面这种相应的装饰有类似的感觉，元代的。
Okay, and from the Harry and Lady Garner collection, we have two extraordinarily beautiful carved lacquer dishes, one in black and one in red, and all of the feathers, the different kinds of feathers are marked. So each, whether it's under feathers on the bird's tummy or these long feathers on the back, every single detail is shown.
Harry 爵士和戛纳女士捐赠的2件瓷盘，一件呢是黑漆，一件是红漆。这两件东西最出名的特点就是它上面刻画的鸟的那个羽毛都刻画的非常非常细致，不仅仅是翅膀上的羽毛，还有胸前的细微的羽毛全都刻出来了。
So we can see it here in this detail, the curved edges of the lotus, all the different kinds of feathers, the veins that you get on the back feathers, or the soft feathers round here, the different patterns and so on. It's just incredible workmanship.
这是工艺非常精湛的，大家可以从下面荷叶边的那个弯弯曲曲。但是又非常圆融的那个刻画状态，还有这个鸟身上除了翅膀以外，身上那些软毛的细羽毛全都刻出来了。
And we can go right back to the ground, which is another feature of these early pieces.
我们再看看它的底漆， 这个底漆是棕色的，是早期漆器的一个特点。
And this is the back with these TC scrolls.
这是在它的底部反过来看，外侧你可以看到 T 系的这些个卷草纹，还有下面的底款。
And this is the second one with carved red lacquer.
这是他们收藏的第二件，那件红色的漆盘，同样的。
Unbelievable detail.
有点像那个孔雀的样子。
Also from the early period is this dish with two qilong dragons.
螭龙，那个两条螭，也是哈瑞爵士及其夫人捐赠的这件红漆的螭的眼睛。
You know, the early pieces, as Dr. Chen was describing this morning, all have these very rounded edges. There's no harshness to it. They all have this sort of...
早期的漆器，今天早上的台北故宫的陈慧霞女士介绍的时候，她一个最出名的特点就是所有的边缘都是非常的圆融光滑的，没有这种锋利的边缘。
Which is why this is a little bit difficult to date, because it doesn't have those smooth, rounded edges. It looks a little bit like a song piece from the back, but the decoration is much, much flatter. So this is one where we're not sure of the dating.
这件东西呢，我们很难断代，因为从背面看，它是
Well, it looks like the back of a song piece, but
okay.
it has it's not as fully rounded. It's much flatter.
从那个背面看，它很像宋代的漆器，但是从它正面盘底看，这些花纹它并不是很有立体感，更加的平面化，所以很难断代。
This is a 15th century piece from Ryukyu Islands, which has a Japanese 19th century top. So originally it would have been a box, but it was converted into an incense burner in Japan.
这件东西很有趣，它是15世纪琉球制作的，它应该原件上是有一个漆的盖子，后来他们把盖子去掉或者怎么样呢，又换上了一个铜的那个盖子，它起到了一个香薰的作用，里面其实还衬了一个铜的那个内衬，所以它是做香薰香炉的作用。
Okay. Our best pieces come from the Yongle period. I share the bias of our previous colleagues who have spoken, and it is true that the Yongle era is the best for Chinese lacquer in my view.
Okay. 我们最好的漆器其实是永乐时期的。
And of all the Yongle lacquer, this piece is probably the finest. It has the inscription on the back, the Neifu, that it's made for the sort of, Department of Sweetmeats. And on the front, you have the design of figures, this one carrying a zither, this one carrying perhaps a wine. Originally we thought it was a lantern, but it's behind him. And then inside you have them preparing tea and snacks.
Okay. 这件东西呢，是我们永乐时期比较好的一件啊。它的底款写了内府田石坊，既表示了它的功用，又表示这个器皿是哪里提供的。那么它的那个正面的底部是刻画了一幅画，画的 下部分有3个人，当中呢是个主人，后面呢是一个携琴的仆人，前面呢是一个挑着东西的人。这东西呢，我们以前是认为是灯笼，那现在有可能也是酒瓶啊怎么样的。然后在房子里面还有人正在准备煮茶呀，准备食品。
Here we can see the detail. I mean, the piece that we've blown up so large is, like the top of my finger. It's so small, so the detail is really quite extraordinary.
这幅画呢，这就是上半部分的那个建筑物里的那些煮茶的仆人和一个人坐着。那么看上去画面上非常大，它细节非常好，但其实实际的大小只不过是我手指头粗细。
So even the little, we looked at the cup stands earlier, and here you can see them on the table, and probably a lacquer table with perhaps a stone top.
OK， 然后这个背景啊，这2个人后面的背景是一个桌子，这个桌子的上面是茶盏的高足杯一样的东西，然后可能这个桌子也是漆器的，只不过在桌子的台面上它是嵌了石头的，可以看得出。
And all the textures of the rattan here or the floor, they're all completely different. It's just incredible.
然后它的细节，比如说门上面的那个像藤编一样的装饰，和下面底部庭院里面的那些个花纹，都是刻得非常细。
And just as the other collections we have seen, we have a beautiful Yongle box with the classic Yongle mark scratched into the base of the vessel on the left-hand side. Then they must have produced these in large sets originally.
OK， 我们还有一个永乐的圆盒，这个圆盒黑漆底部。它一侧刻了永乐年制，就是这个底款。他们这些圆盒可能还有大尺寸的形制。
And we saw a similar shape to this in an earlier lecture. This is in fact very similar to one that's listed in a gift of presents between the Yongle Emperor and the Japanese rulers. And it's got a slightly cut down neck, but on the bottom has got both a Schrander mark and the Yongle mark on the side. And I don't think that these are made later. I'm sure that this is an early piece. Definitely.
这件东西很奇特啊。这样的一个东西呢，我们现在认为是当时跟永乐皇帝和琉球的那个使者互相之间，日本政府当时互相之间交换礼品的一种东西。那么在它的底部呢是有2个年款，中间写了大明宣德年制，但是在侧面是永乐年制，我们认为是永乐的。
I'm going to show you now several carved red lacquer early Ming dishes and other objects.
接下来看一些明代早期的刻花的盘子。
We know how some of these objects were used from details in paintings. This particular one shows 3 eunuchs who have palace passes at their waists. One is carrying a large carved red lacquer box, and the other a stacking lacquer box with gold decoration.
这是行乐图中的一个局部，描绘了3个太监，他太监的腰上都挂着腰盘，其中一个太监呢手里拿着一个大的 圆形的石盒，而另外2个带尖呢，肩上担着一个3层的叠盒。
This is very similar to one of the pieces on display in the exhibition, and it is another sort of 14th to early 15th century piece. And what's really interesting is the flowers match on each side, and each one is slightly different, but they line up together.
这件叠盒呢，跟我们这次上博漆器展中的那一件有点相似。需要指出的那个一点就是说，这个4层叠盒每一个侧面每一层在同侧面上显示的花朵纹样是一模一样的。
This is a large lacquer plaque with 2 dragons, but originally would have come from this sort of cabinet. You can see, I don't know if we can see, but yes, we can see these 2 holes here, which would originally have had the side handle. So it's from this sort of side of that kind of casket. And what's interesting is that even the eyes, can you see it over here? They're like an early, like a Yongla or Shanda porcelain piece, where the eyes are a different colour. Can you see it? Can you see that? I think.
Okay.
So incredibly detailed.
我们现在看到左边那一幅呢，是一块漆牌。这块漆牌其实是原来右上角这种类似的漆箱的侧面，就是有拉手有判的那个部分，因为中间它有2个洞，这2个洞正好就是装判留下的痕迹。那么有意思的是，它那个龙的眼睛上面，如果仔细看右下角的那幅画，龙眼睛的颜色跟龙的本身是不一样，这是一种特点。永乐宣德瓷器上的龙的眼睛也是这样。
This is another detail from that Xing'e II in a private collection, and you can see the lacquer boxes here, the round lacquer boxes, together with the gold objects on red lacquer tables. So these are for serving from, and they're very similar in shape to these Shanda pieces or Yongla pieces that we're seeing. Sorry. I think you don't need to translate because we're up to you.
刚才我们看到的那幅，就是说，也是行乐图，私人收藏的行乐图中的一个画面，它上面有红漆石盒和红漆的石具，这些红漆的那个盒子和盘子，其实都是用来盛放食物的。
And similarly, in this one from the Palace Museum, the lacquer box with snacks, but the gold cup and gold ewer that the emperor will use.
那么这一幅是那个北京故宫收藏的行乐图上的一个画面，看到那个太监手里捧着都是红漆的石盒，但是也有金器，一个是金执壶，一个是金杯。
So this is another beautiful Yongla Marken period example in the museum. It's exactly as Dr. Chen described, these rounded edges going right back. You can see the background behind, and it has an incredible 3-dimensional quality, sort of layer upon layer of rounded, realistic-looking flowers.
这件是一件我们收藏的永乐款的圆盒。那么从它的雕刻的花纹来看，又一次显示了这个时期的特征。它那些所有的边缘都是非常的圆融的，然后深深的是陷到那个底部的那个里面去的，所以它的立体感非常强，底部也是黄色的。
And this is identical to one in the National Palace Museum we saw this morning. with 2 lions chasing a brocade ball, also with the Yongle mark.
这也是永乐款的一件，跟那个故宫台北故宫的那一件非常相似，是两狮子抢绣球。
And this again, right back to the background, beautiful curved petals, different texture in the center, all the veins on the petals delineated.
同样，它的花瓣也是非常圆融的，雕刻的非常的仔细，慢慢的弯到底部去，然后呢，中间的花蕊也是细细的刻画出来，花瓣上的那些脉络也是很好的诠释了。
We really have a fantastic early Ming collection, both in the ceramics and the lacquerwares. This is the one with chrysanthemums. Again, you can see the background of the vessel here, and then these beautiful curved shapes.
这也是另外一件早期明早期的漆器，这些类似的花纹呢，在瓷器中也有。那这件东西同样能够看出它的雕刻也是非常的圆融细腻。
And here with peony flowers, it's a bit more of an unusual shape, but also dating to the early Ming period.
刚才那件呢，上面是菊花，这一件呢是牡丹。
This could be a little bit later. It's a slightly flatter design.
OK， 这件漆瓶是可能断代可以要晚一些，因为它的花纹比较平。
But it is an early Ming design.
但是是明早期的一种花样。
And then you can see in the exhibition upstairs another example of this suture cover. They originally would have covered, this is the suture that they would have been either side of, the same in the gallery. Each volume had its own printed book with decoration on the side, and I think we also saw one from the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Originally there were 108 volumes of the printed canon, which were ordered by the Yongle Emperor in 1410, and each one has the inscription of the sort of title, if you like, just inside the cover.
OK， 这件东西呢，我们在展厅里面也会看到，同样的那个大都会也收藏着这么一件，它这个其实是一个经文的盖子，据说是1410年永乐大帝让人写那个108卷这个经文了以后，每卷的经文上面它都有这么样一个漆的描金的盖子，这些经文可以从右下的那个图片上可以看，它周围也有一些那个佛教的花纹。
And this is perhaps one of our most well-published pieces, very important dated piece with the pavilion of the Prince of Tung.
有可能这是就是曝光率最高的一种盘子的纹饰之一啊，它其实是描绘了滕王阁序。
And it has the date 弘治2年。
它上面刻了那个制作的年代弘治2年，一个平凉人叫王明的雕刻的。
So you can see here is the mark.
弘治2年，王明雕平凉。
So these are just details showing you, how extraordinarily detailed it is, and the different textures, whether it's the floor tiles or the bamboo leaves, and the architectural details are so exact.
它是这些都是局部图，说明当时的漆器工艺能够把 不同材质的那个纹理肌理表现得非常细腻，比如说竹子啊、地面啊、水啊，还有一些石头啊等等。另外的细部。
inscription on the back.
这是这个盘子的底部黑漆的，它上面的那首诗就是滕王阁序末尾的那首诗。
This box is also dating to the 15th century. Typically it has these the sort of arrival scene at the bottom and the host awaiting here.
这也是15世纪的一个盘子，那它的场景呢，就是客人远道而来，主人待在家里等待。
And I've included this because of the repair. You can see this is an old repair. These days we would do it much better than this. But yeah.
那我特别把这个局部放大，是因为大家看到我现在指的这个部分，它是旧补。那旧补补的，Jessica 女士认为补的不好，现在补的话可以补的比这个更好。
Okay, what's interesting about this other box is that it has these fantastic inscriptions. I'm speeding up a bit and worrying about time, but here look, this is the gathering of the worthies at the top. I'll let the rest.
这是另外一个盘子，这个不是盘子，是一个盒子。盒子的盖子上面它是有一个群贤聚集的一个场景。
And it has wonderful details like the swing here.
然后干丝的侧面一圈里面有一部分描绘了那个荡秋千。
And now we'll show you the inscriptions.
然后每一部分都有一首诗雕刻在建筑物上面。
Each poem or inscription is from the Song or the Tang dynasty in tiny characters. You can see them here, or blown up here.
然后这些建筑物上雕刻的诗词，大都是唐宋诗词，非常小，但是非常精细。
So you can imagine somebody taking the box, looking at the poems, enjoying a glass of wine, passing it around, reading the poetry, and marveling at the craftsmanship.
OK， 所以呢，大家可以想象一下，当时文人们聚会就是喝着酒，小酒，然后鉴赏着文物，然后再看着这个盒子上谈论这些东西。
Really, this is a remarkable thing.
这些细节都非常。
I can hear the cameras clicking, so I leave you enough time to take lots of photographs.
听到大家下面都在拍照，我给你们足够的时间。
Okay, now this is a different technique. This is the inlaid with shell technique, and we think that this is actually quite an early one, perhaps a 14th century piece, early Ming piece.
这个漆碟，黑漆碟是用了另外的技术，就是嵌螺钿。这个技术，这件东西非常早，可能是14世纪的东西。
It might even be even earlier. What's interesting is that it's very like pieces in the net that you were showing yesterday. And ours has got the double chrysanthemum that you quite often see in Hongwu period porcelain. But I've also put at the bottom the Yuan Longshan dish, so it's kind of between the two, I feel.
OK， 这个碟子的特别之处是它周围的这个一圈，它都是双菊纹，就是每一个部分是2朵菊花，跟 Met 就大都会收藏的那一件非常相似啊，大都会是单独的菊花。
So they must have made them in sets, I think.
他说有可能推测这些碟子做起来就是一套一套成套制作的。
And this is the piece I showed you earlier from the Franks collection, which we collected in 1885. And it has wonderful details like this girl on a swing, which we can see in the Xingletu painting. This painting is sort of 15th century, early 15th century, and perhaps this is about the same or a little bit later.
这件那个船盒也是黑漆嵌螺钿的，上面有一幅来自于那个 Frank 先生捐赠，那上面的侧面的每一个开光里面都是一个场景，其中有一个场景是荡秋千，小女孩在荡秋千，这跟我们行乐图里面看到的公主们在荡秋千是差不多的。可能时间上行乐图的时间段大是15世纪，所以这个盒子可能是15世纪或更晚一些。
And you can also relate the figures to 15th century porcelain.
然后也可以参照15世纪的瓷器上的那些场景图，其实是很类似。
This is an extremely detailed box with much finer inlay, using the natural colours of the shell very beautifully, but with a much denser, finer decoration.
这件漆盒呢也是嵌螺钿的，但是它跟前面的所不同的是，它用了更细的嵌螺钿技术。你看在交接处非常细腻，然后它还采用了螺钿的自然的色泽来体现人物和场景。
Rest your voice. These are a few more details.
这些是细节。
Okay. This is another inlaid box with incredible detail of looking at paintings, reading books, playing chess, and so on.
这是另外一件漆盒的盒盖上，它上面有好多场景，比如赏画呀、下棋呀等等。侧面。
I think this is later because it's not so well. This one's not so well done.
这件东西可能年代还要晚一些，因为它的做工没有前一件那么好。
You have the hobby horse procession.
骑竹马。
People playing instruments and so on.
吹号角。
Okay, and so here we go back to a better quality piece with the inscription on the base, the maker's name, and wonderful details like the ladies in the boat, the covered boat, and so on.
我们再看一件比较精美的东西，这件漆盒漆牌还是漆盒？这件东西细节都会的描绘，在于这两位侍女坐在一个船里面，船上是有一个顶棚，上面非常细腻这个纹路。
And then we have a few examples of this shell inlay with basket work sides, probably from the 15th, 16th century.
Okay. 还有另外一个类型的漆器呢，它就是通过嵌螺钿和那个竹编相结合做成的盒子啊，一些器皿。这儿缺了一块，题子上也缺了。
Okay. Now these are rather a strange group. I was talking to Mrs. Bao about them. Previously, we have these all dated to the 16th century, but it may be that they're later. They are different from the ones that are on display in the Shanghai Museum. They have silver and gilded silver lining.
这件东西呢，这些东西我是跟上博的包艳丽老师一起探讨过的。以前呢，我们是认为这是16世纪的东西，它外面呢是漆器，里面呢衬了一层，就是镶了一层银，或者银也鎏了金。那现在看来呢，是可能是晚一些，比16世纪稍晚的东西。
So we welcome your views about these. They have very distinctive yellow lacquer, as well as the black lacquer and the red lacquer.
所以它上面刻画的花纹，非常独特。它里面既有黄色的漆，也有黑色的漆。sorry， 红色的漆。红色的漆 ，sorry。
And then this is an unusual one which Denise Lloyd talked about in her presentation. There aren't very many of these, so they are quite difficult to date. But again, this may be a Ryukyu design rather than Chinese. And this, sorry, go back.
Denise Lady 也在她的那个研讨会发言中也谈到了这件东西。类似的器皿我们并不多见，它很奇特，它就是可能是琉球的东西。
Perhaps 17th century.
17世纪有可能。
And this is very unusual. It has brass figures and then inlaid lacquer between.
这件东西也很奇特。它那个主体的结构，包括这些人物和树枝枝干啊什么，都是黄铜的，在黄铜的镂空黄铜之间镶嵌了漆。你看这空中的那个是寿星骑着仙客而来。
And then this is more normal, I would say. So this is a sort of judging boys playing box, painted in different colours, red, green, yellow, blue, and so on.
这件东西就稍微正常一点，上面的图案呢，其实是有点像英系图的样子。那孩子们在庭院里面玩，用了不同的漆的颜色，有黄的、红的、绿的、蓝的等等，还有咖啡的。
But we think that it may be missing a layer. This is do you see that there may be more that should be there? This is this is a octagonal. It's hexagonal, six-sided judging mark and period dish with the same kind of multicolored lacquer.
这件东西跟上面那一件也是多种漆的颜色的多色漆做的一件6边形的一个碟子 ，yeah.
And they're very, very similar between the judging and the Wanli. This is a dated Wanli piece from 1595, dated on the back.
那嘉靖和万历这种多色漆的东西是非常相似的。前2件我们见的都是嘉靖，而这件是万历。
You've got the full frontal dragon on the front.
万历的这件盘子，它的那个龙是正面龙。
And I've included this because it's a porcelain, 4-sided vase, but it's decorated with lacquer over the top. Quite unusual.
我把这件放进来是因为它其实是一件瓷瓶，但是上面用漆画了漆，上半部分。
This is rather more beautiful. and it could be that it's slightly earlier. Let's call it judging for now, but the actual quality of painting is really very, very good indeed.
这件漆杯是做得非常好的。我们现在暂时把它定为佳境，可能还是更早。
And so this is a Wiley mark piece. Again, the same technique with this limited palette of coloured lacquers.
这件又是一件万历的多色漆的盘子，它是用有限的漆色拼接出各种的花纹。
And this particular style also appears in the collection in boxes. We have a group of this style of boxes painted in these coloured lacquers. So it's sort of carved in and then painted in a limited palette.
OK， 我们藏品中有一系列这样的类似风格的盒子，它上面的花纹其实先是刻了，然后再填上漆。
And this one's dated 1601.
时间是1601年。
Dated inscription. Okay. From the judging period for the carved lacquers, we have a fantastic collection with green and yellow and red lacquers. This particular one has a Chun character for spring on the top, with auspicious clouds in different colours. Around the outside, dragons, which are red with coloured mane, and again, you see the coloured mane and the coloured frame. Yeah, I think you can see.
这个石盒呢也非常有意思，它那个盒盖的整体用3种漆，一个是绿色，一个是红色，底漆是黄色的，然后盒盖的中间呢是一个春字，春字的各个笔画之间呢还有一些祥云，那祥云是红色的，但是它底还有一些绿色做衬托，在四周围一圈呢是龙的那些个鬃毛，头颈上的鬃毛，身上的那些个毛都是绿色。
And this is less well preserved, but it has, you can see quite nicely the bright yellow colour that you don't often see, and green and red and black and so on.
这件盘子呢，保存现状不好，但是它的颜色却更加鲜艳。比如说龙是黄色的，这是很少见到的，还有一些绿色、黑色、红色等等。
Yeah, I have a lot of examples of these. I'm sorry, but this is the phoenix and the dragon again with the different coloured lacquers. So it's got yellow wings and green wings and so on.
这是我有好多这种类似的例子。那这件是龙凤纹，凤凰的翅膀上有黄、绿、红3种颜色。
Also from the judging period, but just plain carved lacquer.
也是嘉靖的，只不过是用只是红漆上雕刻。
And this is a very important piece. It's judging Marken period, but with the 18 Lohan in this ingot-shaped dish.
这件盘子非常有意思，也是嘉靖年款、嘉靖年制。它的外形是那个银锭马蹄银的这个形状，那里面的底部呢雕刻的18罗汉。
I'm just going to show you some of the details so you can rest your voice for a second.
OK， 大家拍照吧，我就不用说了。 它的上身这还有两只鸟。
And there are very few pieces from the Longqing reign. The Longqing reign, of course, is very short, 1567 to 72, and this is a large dish with the Longqing imperial mark on the back, and dragon on the front, very high quality, and very similar to the ceramics of the Longqing era. But because the reign is so short, we can have a very precise date for it.
隆庆这个时期是非常短的，1567到1572年，这是我们收藏的一件隆庆年款，隆庆年制的这个大漆盘，形制非常大，它那个里面正面底部是一条那个飞腾的龙。它跟同时代的那个隆庆的瓷器大盘子也是非常相似的，因为时间短，所以更容易断代。
Show you some details. Okay, and this box is possibly 17th century. It has an unusual mark on the bottom.
这个盒子是可能是17世纪的，它有意思的是底部的底款，很特别。
But you can see that it's much later. It isn't nearly so detailed, and it doesn't have those nice rounded edges. And the faces, they're not like the early Ming faces. You can see by now that that it's much later.
你可以看见这件东西其实是。年代是非常晚的，因为它的刻画的细节不及明前期中期的那样细，然后他们的脸你看一看，你们看一看，也是后面刻画的脸，跟早期的不一样。
And this brush pot is rather unusual too. I think probably 17th century, but with quite impressive details.
这件笔筒也有可能是17世纪的，但是它的刻画的细节是非常好的。
You know, if you look at the rocks being inscribed here, the rocks are rather beautifully delineated, and this shows you the entire brush pot in a photograph pulled out.
这是全景的那个笔筒的那个一圈的照片，看看下面的那个假山石的那个局部，它也是雕得非常好。
And we have some very special things from the Kangxi era, including this Buddha, which is dated 1692.
在我们的收藏里面有很多非常特别的东西，比如说这件康熙年1692年制作的漆佛。
And it's so important because it has this scroll that originally was inside the Buddha.
它是非常珍贵的，因为这个中空的家住佛像内部还有一卷经文。
It has the sutras, but it also has these sort of talismanic script and inscriptions.
里面还有一张这种保护的一张什么符文纸。
Okay, and in this example, which is also Kangxi, you can see the Kangxi porcelain here, and then the box is gold and black lacquer from the Kangxi period. So this is the cover from the box here.
这是一件很有特色的东西，它里面是瓷盘，外面是漆盒。Is that lotus shape? 莲花的形式。
And we also saw some of these, what we call Lacquer wares from Liu Pengliang. When you talked, you gave lovely vase. We have a few of these little saucer dishes and cups. They actually are incredibly detailed when you blow them up, but they have a porcelain base. And this one has a Chenghua mark, but of course it's Kangxi period, it's not Chenghua.
我们还有一些那个漆器很有意思，它的那个其实它是瓷器的，但是它里面呢是刷了一层漆，做了漆，然后嵌上了非常精细的螺钿。这件东西呢，第一款是大明成化年式，当然不是那个时候的，其实是康熙的。
Also from the Kangxi period, we have this rather nice chest with drawers. The cabinet closes, the lid shuts, and then you have these sort of secret drawers behind.
这件东西有点像装盒，化妆盒，它那个里面门打开，上面的盖子旋开，上面是一个小的盘子，下面是好多小抽屉。
This is the top with
这
the
是顶部那个盖子，英系图。
From the 18th century, we have this very beautiful stool, which is inlaid with different coloured lacquers. This is the top part here.
18世纪以后的藏品中，我们有一件非常漂亮的漆凳，它上面的凳子的凳面上，有嵌着那个螺钿。
Most of the furniture collections are in the Victoria and Albert Museum, so the British Museum doesn't have very much lacquer furniture.
OK， 但大部分的漆器的家具其实藏于伦敦的 V&A 博物馆，而不是大英博物馆。
But we do have these extraordinary lamps, which have the red and gold lacquer base, and then these are bronze, then lacquered and painted.
这些其实是灯座，下面的底座是那个黑漆和红漆的，上面的两个洞和那个灯座的那个像那个痰盂一样的那个灯座的底座呢，其实是铜的。
Okay. And firmly into the 18th century now, we have this box, which it looks a little bit Japanese, doesn't it, when we look at it? But it's actually 18th century Chinese in a Japanese style. And then inside, it has all these wonderful curiosities. So we have the game of chess, we have a triple lens magnifying glass, we have a jade pea pod here, like a pea, and so on.
这件盒子呢，看上去非常日本的风格，但其实是中国做的。打开这个盒子里面，比如在左下方，我们可以看到那个棋子，它装了棋子，然后在右上方，最右上方的那个图像的右下角，它其实是放大镜，3个镜片，然后右上方是一个碧玉做的豆荚，这些都是一些稀奇古怪的那种古玩收藏。
And each one has a little painting, which originally would have gone with it. So you can see the painting here, with the object here, and so on. See, each one is a painting, and somebody has pasted them onto the cover. But I think originally, each one, the little man here, this man here, and this.
所以在盒盖的内盖里面，他把里面收藏的那些东西都用图像画下来，贴在内盖上，以说明这一盒里面是什么东西。
Sadly, the ones that would have been here and here, we don't know.
然后有2个东西空了，那个画上也没有。
This is something we bought recently to illustrate export lacquer. So from Guangdong or from Fujian, made for export in the 18th century to Europe. It's a little tea chest.
还有一些呢是出口的漆器，这件东西可能是广东专为外销，欧洲生产的18世纪制作。这是一个茶叶罐的收集箱。
So the pewter canisters, and then the lacquer box.
里面4个锡罐，锡茶叶罐。
And this is just the detail of the cover. They're actually very beautifully made, even though it's for export.
即使是为外销做的，他们做的非常精美。这是盒盖上的花纹。
And from the 18th century Qianlong pieces, we have this 8-sided dish, which I think relates to another piece that you showed yesterday, which is decorated with wonderful multiple-coloured lacquers.
这是一件18世纪乾隆年制的一件盒子。OK， 一个盘子。这件盘子跟我们昨天谈到的有一件多色漆的盘子有点相似。
This is a very light, on a silk base, Qianlong piece, a covered chrysanthemum box, and on the base you have this Qianlong mark in the centre and long inscription dated 1777.
这件东西呢是非常轻的一件漆器，因为它里面的内态，据他说是 silk 是丝绸的，所以非常轻。形状呢是那个菊瓣形的，底部呢当中写了大清乾隆年制，周围是一圈体，石材体，1777年制作。
And also from the 18th century, we have these magnificent Tibetan-shaped jugs.
18世纪还有一些东西，比如说这一堆壶是西藏风格的。
And also Qianlong period lacquer hat stand.
这是漆做的那个帽架，上面可以放帽子的。
And beautiful boxes with 100 boys playing with Qianlong mark.
乾隆款的一个白纸图的盒子。
You can see them riding little hobby horses.
狼骑竹马来。
And the Qianlong mark, which has been damaged.
乾隆那个款其实是被人为的擦掉了。
Another Qianlong piece. This is a wonderful dragon carved piece amongst waves. It's a covered box.
这是一个盖盒，盖盒的盒盖上面是龙穿梭在云里面。
I mentioned only in passing, but we have a collection of 450 snuff bottles, of which a small number are lacquer, and very few are good quality, just 1 or 2 very good quality.
我们有450件那个鼻烟壶收藏，然后其中很少一部分是漆器，这些漆器鼻烟壶中只有1到2件是非常好的。
But this is interesting because it came in 1886, so quite an early acquisition.
这是很早就购买的，由弗兰克1886年收购。
These are interesting because they're Qianlong and very playful. They're actually stacking boxes that turn into a vase.
乾隆时期的设计总是非常精巧的，它其实是一个叠盒，但是放起来就是2个瓶交叠在一起。
And we have several of these gourd-shaped Qianlong pieces decorated with gourds and with auspicious characters.
我们也有一些那个葫芦形的那个瓶装饰的漆瓶，它上面刻的纹样竟然也是葫芦，然后中间的开光处写的就是大吉。
And still staying in the 18th century, this is rather unusual, this covered cup with sort of auspicious characters.
这个盖碗上面盖子上面是刻着寿字的，18世纪。
And this is a very unusual piece, which has sort of like a plum flower shape, a five-lobed shape, together with, the host here with the person arriving with the zither. Maybe even Wang Shizhe looking out onto the geese.
这件碟盒也非常有特点，它上面的盖子是一个文人坐在凉亭里面，下面是有个人拿着携琴而来，可能是客人。他说这个坐在凉亭的人呢，可能是王羲之，因为他赏鹅嘛，水塘里面有2只鹅。
On into the late 18th century, possibly even the 19th century, they have a much stiffer form of decoration. This is Shouxing again with the deer. So I think late 18th, early 19th.
18世纪晚期跟19世纪早期，装饰模样开始有所变化。比如说这个瓶上面是寿星，寿星旁边是一个鹿。
And also this is probably a very late 18th or into the 19th century. It has a metal liner at the top here and very stiff decoration of flowers on a dense border.
这一件漆瓶的花纹是非常繁复的，也是18世纪晚19世纪早期雕刻的非常精美，但是它的顶部大家可以看到是一个铜的盖子，里面内嵌了一个东西。
We have a lacquerware in the shape of ancient bronzes, either from the late 18th or even possibly into the 19th century. This one is very nicely made on 3 legs, donated by Robert Lloyd, who is the director of Christie's that we saw earlier.
OK， 这是18世纪晚期、19世纪早期的一个漆，一个鼎，仿古鼎的一个形式，3足，它上面都刻了上面的一些纹路，就是古代青铜器上的纹路。
And also from the same period, this is rather a nice box with children playing, a little swing, lovely little details.
这也是一个英系图的带盒。
But I think this one is later. This shows boys playing with little cricket containers.
OK， 这个也是很有意思的。这件漆器上面雕的是孩子们在玩斗蟋蟀，这蟋蟀罐子。
And again, the scene of the Wang Shizhe and
王羲之赏鹅，
Again, we're into the late period now, but still quite nice, but late 18th into the 19th century.
18世纪晚期、19世纪也是一个传科的非常好。
I just have a few more things to show you. I'm sorry I'm running a little bit late. I tried to put everything in. So this is a very nice late.
再有一点时间给大家看点有趣的东西。
Late cabinet.
晚期的一些箱子。
And this could be from the 19th century. It's inlaid with very brightly coloured stones.
它上面的那个鸟啊，这个颜色是一种石头的颜色镶嵌。
And we think this is not Chinese at all. If I show you a detail, it has a completely different style of decoration. So it might be Korean or it might be possibly Japanese, but probably not Chinese.
这件东西从局部图上看，它的镶嵌的工艺完全不一样，可能就是韩国的或者是日本制作。
And similarly with this one, it could be Korean because of these bagua symbols and the yin yang in the center, but it has the sort of Chinese, style vessels on the side.
这些东西可能是韩国的，因为上面有八卦纹和那个阴阳纹，但是侧面都是中国的这些瓶瓶罐罐。
Then we have a large screen here. This is just a part of it, which is in porcelain and then with a lacquer, red and black lacquer surround, which has 10 folds, and it's very like these embroideries in blue and white that you have in the 19th century, very similar style, but quite unusual.
我们也常有一些漆器的屏风，那这个屏风一共是10块，这是其中的一块，它其实是黑漆和红漆，黑漆是底，然后红漆嵌的是那些个青花瓷，这其实是跟19世纪一些就是蓝色的绣花图案，右面的那一块绣花图案是非常相像的。
And this is another screen from the same sort of period, 1880 to 1910, something like that. Okay, and we're really on to the last few pieces now. This is a lacquer box from the 19th century with a Japanese influence.
这是一件19世纪的漆盒，受日本影响制作的。This Chinese， 是中国的东西。
And we have a collection of these, what we might call folk lacquer boxes, some from Fujian, some from Zhejiang, some from Guangdong. These are just a few.
这些就是民间的一些漆器，福建、浙江、广东的漆蓝漆盒。
Well done. And this is the last piece, taking us right up to the 21st century. It was made by Lacquer from Shanghai and was made specially for the new opening of the gallery. And we also collect contemporary lacquer pieces.
大英博物馆也收藏现代的漆器，比如这一件就是安徽 or Shanghai?
He is based in Shanghai.
OK， 他这件是在安徽制作的一个上海的名叫高尔可的漆器专业人员制作的。
And finally, I would just like to say thank you all very much for listening to probably one of the longest lectures. And thank you, let's all give a big hand to Liang Wei, who despite her cold managed to translate the entire thing. So thank you very much for listening, and thank Liang Wei very much indeed for translating.
最后，感谢大家听我的发言，谢谢大家。可能我的发言是最长的一个发言。
非常感谢两位老师对精美绝伦的这些漆器的一个讲解。我有3个问题啊，可能可以简单一点回答。第一个问题是，就是这些藏品大英博物馆对这些藏品的那个数字编号的命名规则是能不能请老师简单介绍一下？第二个就是也跟这件其实很有关，其实我一直是在想问关于那个西皮漆器的话，好像不知道大英博物馆有没有收藏，就是古建的，就是以前的漆皮漆器，因为这件是现代的嘛。然后我前面看到照片里面有2件琉球的藏品，一个是一个盒子，另外一个就是那个 butterfly， 就是那个是不是也是这种漆皮的工艺做法？第3个问题就是可能。
Before you ask the third question, let's just quickly answer the first two, if you don't mind. The first is the one you just answered was about the sheepy lacquer. We do have only the Ryokyu style box that you mentioned. That's all that we have in the collection. And you asked about the number of pieces that we have.
Number. That means that on each collection you have collection number. There is this kind of collection number follows a certain rule to name it.
Yes.
Can you tell?
Yes.
How do you know?
The first part is the year. So if it says 19...
The collection year.
Yeah, the year that comes into the collection, and then the month, and the day of the week, and then the number of that day. So,
第一段是就它的产品编号，第一段是年份，第2段是月份，第3段是哪一周的哪一天，第4段。
The number of, if you have 10 objects.
Okay. 然后是这一套里面，这是第几件？
Thank you。第3个问题是可能跟语言学有点关系，因为前面就是2位老师用中英文讲了这么多关于漆器的一些描述的词汇，包括漆器工艺中呢，其实在中国中文里面也有非常就专门为这漆器有专门的一些词汇。那其实像日本，它也有一些跟中国可能记忆相似但是不同的语言。那英文就是翻译成英文的话，就是你们我看到是有一些音译，还有一些意译。那你们关于这个翻译这一块是有什么独到的一些见解吗？主要是英语，就是从汉语或者是日语翻译成英文这一块，你们是怎么就可能就指的是同样的东西，但是你们在就是对外发布这种标准的时候是采用哪一种？谢谢。
它是这样的，碰到那个比如日文、韩文或者中文，它一般是以中文为主，然后在这个中文的比如说命名的当中，它可能加一个括号，在日文中就称作什么什么漆的形式，它是这样的。
Because I think guri is a term is more commonly used than tishi, but it's the same thing. But gradually over time, people will use tishi instead of guri. But I think I did in my PPT. I maybe use guri sometimes out of an old habit. I also use mother of pearl out of an old habit. It's just it's like calling something famille verte, where we don't use that anymore. But old habits die hard.
所以说，我在 PPT 里面这些命名呢，就是出于我对这个东西，这件漆器这个漆的定名的习惯。比如说“古里”这个词，在我们行内是非常熟悉，只要讲古里，大家都知道。但是随着时间的过去，应该体系是更为人知，所以正式定名一般是以中文为主，然后“古里”加个括号就知道了。